Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Show on the Grilly Truth Sports Network. Today, we're going to be looking back at last night's Indiana 80-65 loss to the Michigan State Spartans. And as always, the Grilly Truth is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online sportsbook or casino that's right for you. Make sure you check them out now at Betting.net. Also, you can follow us at Twitter. Also, check out the link in the description below in the video to check out BetMGM, which is our suggested place to go bet this weekend's Indiana-Purdue game, which we will have a Indiana-Purdue preview show on Friday. But right now, I am your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, doing great. I had to get up this morning and go to the hardware store, Mike. I live in Southern California. I had to go buy a snow shovel.
No, you didn't.
They're predicting snow here tonight in L.A., right here.
How cold is it?
It's fine right now. Sunny skies and beautiful, but they say by about 1 or 2 o'clock L.A. time, which is 3-hour time difference to you, that all hell should be breaking loose here.
How much snow are they expecting? A flurry?
Well, no, it's very interesting. Up in the mountains, which are 10 miles from my house, they're saying 5 feet. But now that's a higher elevation. We're at about 700 feet elevation.
Hey, here you go. This is Coach Mike Woodson. Tough game last night.
Yeah, it was. So anyway, back to the weather report. But I guess Indiana's going to get it pretty hard too. You're supposed to have a nice day today, I understand, but
yeah, it's nice so far, but the wind just kicked up to like 35 miles an hour. So
it's going to kick up to about 70 here because we get Santa Ana winds. So it's a mess. Anyway, that's enough weather.
Well, how about this?
But that's the cheery part. That's the cheery part of the next 30 minutes.
It's all cheery because what we do know is this, though. I mean, we're still all right. Indiana lost to Michigan State last night. It was ugly. The first 15 minutes was great. Everything after that was absolute crap. But I think that we both talked about this the last game, how they looked like they were getting tired. Yeah. And they looked physically and mentally wore out last night. And I mean, it's not an excuse if it's the truth, Steve.
No, and again, having played, I understand it's not you look at it and you say, how does a bunch of 20-year-olds who are in great shape get physically tired from a 40-minute basketball game once every 3 or 4 days? Well, there's a lot of factors in there. It's more of a mental tiredness than a physical tiredness. I mean, traveling makes you tired. Schoolwork makes you tired. Nagging girlfriends make you tired. I don't know how much Coach Woodson is practicing his team. I know this time of the year in Indiana, when Knight was coach, we would barely practice an hour and a half, and usually more than 45 minutes of that was book work, was film and studying. A lot of physical practice wasn't going on at this time. We didn't want to get anybody hurt. We didn't want to mentally wear anybody out. So, but they definitely showed it last night, Mike. I mean, it came out lethargic. Fortunately, to start the game, they were 1 for 7 in their 3-point shooting. And then Schifino gets a second foul about 7 minutes into the first half. Woody decides to bench him. All hell breaks loose. They light up the skies. We don't make a recovery to guard the perimeter tighter and keep somebody on Walker, who's just lighting us up single-handedly. We get out rebounded by Country Mile. I'm sure I've got the stats too, but I'm sure.
Yeah, they were like 33-24, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad for a Big Ten game for Indiana being, 10 rebounds is a lot in a college game where you have 2 equally matched teams. You had some emotional factor tied into it with the sadness of what happened at Michigan State. I don't know how much that played into it, truthfully. But all in all, it was a recipe for a loss, a spanking. I don't, like you said, I don't think that it kills us in any way. I think it puts more emphasis on the Purdue game than was there before. I had written Purdue off and said Probably not going to win there this time because we beat them at home. Now Indiana, I think, really needs to go in. If they want to retain a top 16 seed, they need to go in now and beat Purdue. But let's stay on Michigan State right now because we are going to do a Purdue preview show. So
Yeah, and when you look at the stats, I mean,
10 feet, at 10,000 feet, that's what happened. Now, if you want to break it down some, we can break it down.
because if you look at it, the difference is just not defending the three and the rebounds because everything else is pretty much even. Field goal percentage, 2-point range, 48 to 47. Yeah. Indiana was 5 for 14 3-point range. You can live with that, especially shooting almost 50% from two, but you can't give up that many open looks on 3-pointers. The other team shot 10 for 21 from 3-point range. And this is a Michigan State team that I think only averages shooting about half of that a game. And they're a good 3-point shooting team, but free throws, Indiana 12 for 16, that's all right. Michigan State 18 for 19. So I think the advantages here were the at the free throw line, 3-point percentage, and rebounds, especially offensive, because offensive rebounds, Michigan State doubled what Indiana did. But once again, shooting threes, free throws, rebounds is all something that happens, and it's the first three things that go away when you are tired, Steve.
Right. There's no. You're exactly right, Mike, this team needs to go home. I'm sure they're home in Bloomington right now. They need to rest. They just need to mentally rest as much as physically rest. I don't think physically they're that tired. I don't know how they can be. Like you said, they're
Hey, remember this, though. I will bring this up, bring up the physical part of it. Jordan Geronimo and Race Thompson are still coming back from injuries, which probably doesn't help the matter at all.
No, and also you have to realize, too, you're still playing with 5 or 6 guys. We only got 6 points off the bench. We outscored 17-6 off the bench.
The bad thing, I don't even remember 6 points off the bench.
I don't either. I don't. I remember with about 4 minutes to go.
They were, well, how about this? They got 2 points off the bench because Anthony Leal and CJ Gunn scored 4 points in the last 4 minutes.
It's scrub time, right? That's what I was getting ready to say. Is it the last I heard, the announcers were saying it was 17-2 bench production, and then they ended up with 6. So that tells me when Knight pulled TJ, Trace Jackson, and everybody, took his starters out except for Shafino, I think, stayed in. They scored 4 more points off the bench, but those were, like you said, they were insignificant bench. The rebounding will right its ship. We rebounded strong all season long, so I don't see that as a huge problem. Bench depth is, I don't know what the cure is for that right now. I don't know how we're going to expand our bench.
The cure is, guys, they either need to give guys like the CJ Guns and more playing time to see what they can do, or you just shut it down. You play with your best 5, and your season will end before the Sweet 16. Now, the guy to me that stands out as being the biggest letdown here outside of Geronimo, because he did have injuries. I think expectations for Tamar Bates. He entered his sophomore season. Everybody had high expectations. He was a former top 30 recruit. Overall, Bates shooting 40% on threes, making 39.5% from the perimeter in big games or Big Ten games. But if you look more closely at the numbers on KenPom, Bates has been underwhelming against better competition, against your tier A or your level 1 opponents, which are defined as top 50 opponents. And when you look at that, he is 6 for 25 from the perimeter and has an offensive rating of 59.4 against tier one opponents. Bates is 12 for 37 on twos, good for 32.4%. He also has a turnover percentage over 20%. And Indiana has played 12 tier 1 games and is 4-8 in those games. And I will tell you this, against the better competition, I think the difference has been the bench in almost every one of those games.
You're exactly right. A great observation on your part. And I was going to bring that up because they were talking about last night that this was the 8th tier 1 win for Michigan State. So right now you look at it, I believe the Northwestern has more tier 1 wins. Now Michigan State has more.
A lot of teams do when you only got 4.
Yeah. When you're only talking 4, that's in the ranking system. That's going to hurt Indiana. and they may be dead in the water on the Sweet 16 now in terms of ranking seedings in the Sweet 16. This game may have taken. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the system well enough.
That's according to what happens against Purdue.
Yeah,
and I mean, you
Purdue
can still
changes
say
everything. Obviously,
put it like this, though, Steve. If they lose to Purdue, they would be what, 18-10.
Yeah.
So if they're 18-10, they beat Iowa, Michigan, or 20-10, or 12-8 in the Big Ten. I think you'll still get a top 16 seed, depending on maybe winning one game in the tournament. But the worry here is this. Out of those top 50, all of a sudden, what they need is North Carolina to get hot and get back in that top 50 to give them another win, because that win that looked so huge at that point, all of a sudden now with North Carolina 16-11, North Carolina right now wouldn't, maybe a tier 3. Hell, I don't know, because North Carolina, I think they said the other night, has no tier 1 wins.
Right. No, I agree.
North Carolina is probably not going to make the tournament. The other worry is another one of their better wins was against Xavier. Xavier lost their best player, which is Zach Freemantle. Since losing their best player, they've lost 2 out of 3. So it's something you could possibly see Xavier lose 3 or 4 more games and drop down to be borderline also. I don't think they will, because there's probably enough talent there to keep them in the top 50. But there's a couple things there that they can't control. And my biggest issue is this. It's Jalen Hood-Schifino. I know this kid is supposed to be a lottery pick. He's got great athletic ability. He's a great shooter. He is not a good point guard. He's nowhere near a good point guard. Last night, I counted 3 occasions where he generally made a pass that was throwing the ball away. And my issue was this. He wasn't taking chances in getting the ball picked off. He was lazy and got intercepted. We saw it happen against Illinois on Saturday, where he throws the ball right to him, and everybody's freaking out like it's all right because he came right back down and scored. Well, last night when he did that, he didn't come right back down and score. And you're going to have a hard time making a deep run in any tournament without point guard play. And right now, I don't know what you do with him, but he also seems to me like he only throws passes to like 3 different guys, and he doesn't throw the ball to anybody else. Because I saw multiple times where he'd have a guy open on a wing, wide open, or down on the baseline, and he just acts like they're not there, and he either shoots the ball, or he goes to Trace, or he goes to Race, or Malik. Those are the only 3 guys I remember seeing him throw the ball to. I think that Jalen Hood-Schifino is the biggest issue right now, because the kid obviously has enough talent to be the point guard on this team and be successful. I don't know if he's unselfish enough to be.
Yeah, I think selfishness is the real key for this kid right now. I sense he's wanting second billing right now to Trace Jackson, and I think in his own mind he feels he's as good as or as important.
I think he wants the top billing.
He wants the top billing. Yeah, I sense that in how he plays the game, Mike. You're spot on observation again, man. You're having a good day today, Mike. I swear you're actually making sense.
You know why?
Which scares me.
Do you know why?
Why?
It's this morning when I got up, I pooped really good. And my dad used to tell me, it'll be a good day if you get up.
Start with a good shit.
You have a good shit. The rest of the day's there. Because if not, you're constipated.
You do the 3 S's. You shit, shower, and shave every morning, and you'll be okay for the rest of the day. Trust me.
Yeah, but that shit, when you get older, you don't always get that shit out the way it should.
You know what? I quit drinking. I just quit drinking, period. And I have gotten so damn regular. It's unbelievable.
Not getting all started. I can't believe. Hey, you know what? I think it matches.
We got a man here. TJ Rich, slow rotations, not getting our hands up while we close out, and not being able to stop them in transition was our biggest 3 problems last night. I agree with the rotations and the not getting our hands up and closing out. I agree with that. That's something that's been a problem for this basketball team all year. And Mike, I'm going to give my dissertation again. As long as Indiana refuses to put the 3-point shot into its armory.
It's in their armory. They shot 15 last night.
But they only took, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 shots. They didn't take it. I mean, they got outshot.
They took 14 or 15 last night.
Well, but they only hit 3 or 4.
They hit 5. 5 for
5.
14,
Okay.
33.
All right.
So that's not an
And
The issue is giving up 10
Michigan,
for 20.
Michigan State goes 10 for 21.
Yeah.
And
That's only
when
6 more
but
shots.
I don't know
but they
that
made 'em.
Indiana's capable of going 10 for 21. I've not seen it all year. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I sometimes I do and don't pay attention to stats. As you get closer to the tournament, you start paying a little bit more attention to stats. You're trying to figure out. But
Hey, Mike Woodson chimed in. They'd love the minutes Malik gave us last night also. And no, we do not run a fast break correctly. And I will say that a lot of times that's on Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Huh.
I mean, when I watch him run the fast break,
anyway,
I saw him last night.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. I know we have a disagreement on this. You don't think it's important. I think that Indiana will be irrelevant.
I think it's important to run your offense
until they bring the 3-point shot as part. They do not have to rely on it. They don't have to make it.
They shot 15. Michigan State shot 21. That's not a huge difference. The difference was how many were made.
But we're not adept enough at that to rely on it.
Then why do you keep asking for it?
Yeah, and our 3-point shooter, Miller Kopp, takes 3 3-point shots is all. Hits 2 of them. Miller's got to get himself more in right here. TJ comes back with another smart comment. Let's get TJ on this show, and he can take my place.
Yeah, he could. I mean, you know what? I think a donkey's ass could take your place. But the donkey's ass.
TJ, I think you're more than a donkey's ass.
No, I'm talking about. I know. That's what I've said. God. TJ would be fine. The only
way to be nice to our guests and take the time to
I was making fun of you, not TJ.
TJ, another great observation. Yeah, I said that too. I wrote that down in the note. Watching game. Miller's got to be ready to shoot. He's kind of hovering out there at that arc. And too many times he gets the ball to him, and he's not in shooting position. He's in passing position and looking to dump in and things of that nature.
Hey, somebody's got to be because Jalen Hood-Schifino's not.
Well, but what's happening, Mike, is by not being ready and not being able to use the perimeter as a weapon, we're allowing defenses to collapse in on Trace Jackson.
But wait a second,
because
Steve,
they have no fear of us out at the arc.
Yeah, I can tell you
they
this,
don't care.
Steve.
They outscored us 15 points from the 3-point range.
Yeah,
I know. I'm talking
defense.
Over you, but I'm making a point. They outscored us 15 points from the arc.
Because we did not defend them on the perimeter.
Right,
it's not because we didn't take enough that they made so many. You have
if we just would have matched them, it would have been a tight game.
We didn't have to match them. What we would have had to do
to play well in a tight game, and really, basically, they had one player from the arc that hurt us. Why is somebody not shutting him down? You take a Galloway, a simple defense. I put Galloway on him and say, I want to know what stick of gum he's chewing at the old stupid Hoosier thing. Just don't help out on him. Just stay on him. Don't let him have the damn ball. If he gets the damn ball, punch him in the stomach. Do something. Don't worry about it. You got 5 fouls to give me. Use him on this asshole and shut him down.
Well, how about this, Steve?
If
Indiana shoots 14,
maybe a very nice kid.
If Indiana would have made 3 or 4 more threes, everything would have been fine. They didn't have to take 3 or 4 more. They just need to make them.
We don't have that in our armory enough that we can rely on getting 3 or 4 more threes. Is my point. Move on. Miller.
So why do you want to shoot more if you don't think they could make more than they already make?
Because you get better at something by working on it. We had all.
I'm pretty sure they work on it. I'm pretty sure they work.
I don't get that sense at all.
Oh, you don't? So you don't think that their offense ever practices shooting threes?
I think they practice to a minimal degree, but I think that Mike is hell-bent on getting the ball into Trace Jackson-Davis, which has carried us all year. So I can't knock that theory. I'm one who has said Trace needs to touch the ball 70% of the time that the ball comes into our offensive court. It doesn't mean he needs to shoot 70% of the time. It means he needs to touch the ball. I still live by that. But it also means that we need to be putting the hands on our shooters, need to be in ready position to shoot, because we have a couple of guys that can step up and hit the 3.
Yeah,
but
Steve,
they're not ready to shoot. They're not.
Steve,
it's not worked into our
come
offense.
on.
I know. I'm on.
No, I mean, this is the issue. They have no point guard. The times when they are open to shoot,
the
ball is not in their hands. The point guard has to get them the ball. The point guard will not distribute the ball. to the wings hardly at all. He throws the ball inside. They throw it back to him. He shoots it, or he drives and he shoots it.
I'm going to tell you what, Isaiah Thomas
toe.
found the open man wherever the open man was. If the open man was out on the perimeter.
What's your point? My point is this. They don't have a point guard, Steve.
I know.
That's why you're not getting the threes and the flow of the offense.
They still have an offense that they need to set up. And with the weave offense they run a 3-out, 2-in offense. It's a basic offense. I mean, it's so simple. It's like, oh my God, man to man, these guys, and you can shut them down.
But no offense works if your point guard is stagnant. He dribbles too much.
I don't buy that.
All right. I mean, Jalen Hood-Schifino is not a point guard.
But I think he's adequate enough, and I think Galloway's adequate enough. Between the two of them out there, they can handle the rock enough to get us into our offense, enough to get Miller Kopp open.
But they're not.
Get Tamar Bates open, get somebody else, some other guys. Schifino's not bad.
The next game, what we need to do is this. We need to count with all the three-point shots, how many of those shots come from Trace Jackson Davis passing out of the post, as opposed to Jalen Hood-Schifino driving and kicking to one of them.
Right.
I mean, you hardly ever see that.
That's the design of our offense. That's the design of our offense.
I don't think it is. I think the design of our offense
dump it in is what our offense is designed to do, is to take it inside. And
don't you think
Trace does a fabulous job of dumping out and not always Trace does. Matter of fact, I fault Trace to a degree. He passes sometimes when I thought, boy, he
passes too much. Yeah,
he passes too much.
But somebody's got to do it. They might as well just let him bring the ball down.
Yeah, no, I agree. We agree that, Aaron said. Mike, I'm not saying that they need to live and die by that 3-point shot. I just say it needs to be in their armory. That's all.
What I'm saying is this:
it's in their armory.
This is the thing, Steve. I don't think it's in there because I don't think they have a point guard that is running this offense.
Well, I'm not buying that because point guards don't shoot 3-pointers for the most part.
They don't. What the hell's that got to do with it? You have to move the ball to get the ball in position.
I could probably go back and watch the last 2 seasons of Isaiah's season. I probably took more shots from out in the perimeter than he did.
I bet you didn't.
I'll bet I did.
And you know what? I hate to tell you this, but you still don't understand what I'm saying.
No,
we're not talking about Jalen Hood-Schifino shooting a 3. No, I'm talking about Jalen Hood-Schifino getting into the offense, dish the ball for the 3 instead of drive and dish the ball underneath.
And we've already determined that there may be a problem with Jalen Hood-Schifino in the sense that he wants more recognition than he feels he's getting, and that's a separate problem right there. But anyway.
Well, that'll be taken care of in the next month or so anyways.
Yes, it will.
And it's not to be mean because I think the kid will go and I think he'll be a solid NBA player. But, I mean, damn, you've got to be able to distribute the ball, get the offense in. Well, and there's too many times where you see him and the ball's thrown to him. You just know he's shooting this damn thing.
Right, yeah. And he's not inherited the role of point guard. He's not inherited the role of playing up top and just distributing the ball. He wants to shoot the rock. And he took some questionable shots last night. We've pointed out lack of bench production. The team looked a little tired. Just lack of rebounding, lack of 3-point production. There's the obvious reasons why we lost this game.
Well, how about this? You have to anticipate on defense. You can't react. They reacted the entire night.
Yeah. I think that's because they're mentally a little drained. And I don't understand it. Every game should be huge to these kids right now. I mean, in my 4 years there, we played our best basketball right about this time of the year every year.
How about this? Also, my other problem.
IU's not playing its best basketball right
How many times did we see an IU player take a charge? How many times did we see an IU player dive on the ground after the ball? I counted
twice. Once. Maybe once. Yeah. I agree.
And yes, this is not us trashing the Indiana Hoosiers. This is just talking about what we saw last night.
We observed. Exactly.
Because overall, this team, I think, is 19-10 right now.
Yeah.
Last year at this point, they were 18-10. But this team is a lot tougher So I put it
that
like
they
this.
showed last night. You know?
Well, put it like this. They've shown how tough they are. Just sometimes you ain't got it when you go out there.
Yeah,
Now,
that's what I wrote this off as.
The one thing that can't happen is they cannot go to Purdue and get beat by 20 points.
No.
Because then that starts to make you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
If they go, they play well, the game's within 10 points, they battle tough, we could live with that.
Right.
But, I mean, the main takeaways, TJD's tired. And he's tired.
He should be tired.
You know why he's
carried
tired?
The load of this team.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The reason he is tired is because he has to play 37 to 40 minutes every game.
Leading the team.
Because nobody's doing anything.
I mean, he's not just playing the minutes. He is the captain. He is driving the boat. He's propelling the boat. I mean, everybody else is on a cruise with a little wristband around their wrist saying, you know, free food. Here, show this and
courtesy of Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah, and Trace Jackson Davis.
Well, how about this? You remember Shafino got the second foul with like what?
7 minutes into the game.
Left. All right,
7 minutes into the game.
My issue is this: he ended the game with 2 fouls.
Yeah, he never went back. He
didn't play defense.
He never went back in the first half after he got the 2 fouls. Never went back in. Came out with 3 fouls to go in the second half. Quit playing defense. Was more worried about putting points.
Well, how about this? There was also, I counted 3 separate occasions where guys went in and dunked the ball or laid the ball in where he let them go because he didn't want to get a 3rd foul. And it was like with 14 minutes left in the game and you're starting to fall pretty far behind, you need to do something.
Rich, I agree with you. Yeah, he is a freshman, and with what he's coaching,
he's a senior because this is the only year he's going to.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I don't know. Like Mike says, I don't know that he's going to be around next year because there's reports and rumors that he's projected as a high first-round pick in the NBA draft anyway, which tells you how weak the NBA is, which is why I don't watch the NBA.
Well, no, they're just going on the skill level. If
I'm going to watch that kind of crap, I just watch championship wrestling because they have good-looking chicks in skimpy little outfits that dance around the ring.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but we've seen a lot of freshmen over the past decade come out and play just fine, especially a freshman that's supposed to be as great as he is. So,
well, but I don't think
I also think
Rich made an observation that everybody's making.
I've got a question for Rich.
Freshman.
I've got a question for Rich if he's still on here. He says with Woody's coaching, he will learn not to make those mistakes. Now, I know Woody's only been here a couple of years, but what would make you think that? Because we haven't seen a point guard at IU in 10 years, have we? And that could actually run the offense. Xavier Johnson, he's a good player, but Xavier Johnson's kind of like a older version of Jalen Hood-Schifino a lot of times. Now, I think we saw at the end of last year where Xavier kind of ran the show the way he was supposed to. But I don't know where we get that. And I worry, and I don't think Mike Woodson's a bad coach. I think he's a solid coach, which is better than half the Big Ten has. But when you don't
How do you stack him up against the Illinois coach?
The Illinois coach is a douchebag. Juwan Howard's a dumbass. Fran McCafferty, I just want to punch him in the face. So, I mean, the guy from Ohio State will be coaching probably at Taylor University by next year.
Chris Holtzman? He'll be back at Butler.
No, Butler's got that money.
Yeah, they do.
But, all right, Steve. I think.
Yeah. Let me just close by saying this from my perspective, Mike. Everything that we talked about today is quickly fixable. Rest will take away some of their mental tiredness. And whatever physical tiredness they have, a little more attention to perimeter defense would solve that problem pretty quickly. I think we have the athletes to play perimeter defense better than we're doing. Rebounding, that's an anomaly for us. We've not generally gotten out rebounded, especially not by 10 rebounds in a game. So I'm going to write that off as an anomaly for this game. And I don't know, do we have any hope of getting Johnson back, or is he just a wash for the season?
He practiced last night before the game in full gear. I think From what I was told
So I'd get
yesterday,
him back as fast as I could now.
from what I was told by yesterday with somebody, that they expect to see him possibly play a little bit against Iowa and Michigan next week, and to test it out to see how it goes. And I'll leave you with this one final thing, Steve. If you want to run the offense through TJD, you're going to give up a lot of 3-point opportunities.
I agree.
And I think this, in the long run, for this team to go deep in the tournament, they're not going to be able to rely.
Stay with Dance with the Horse that bring you.
Well, no, because I don't think that this team can make a run to the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16 playing the style of offense they play now. You've got two guys that shoot almost 50% from 3-point range. You could say that's because their shots are limited, but they are good shooters. If you turn this loose and actually have somebody who can run to point, you got Kopp on the wing shooting the 3. You got Galloway. Shafino can shoot.
Galloway can shoot the 3.
I think that a lot of times this team is so TJD obsessed that they are just concentrated on doing that one thing. Yeah. And unless the shot is wide open, they're so obsessed with getting the ball to him. And that's great and all, but I don't see how you can win more than a game or two in the NCAA tournament playing that way.
That's a good observation. And I don't really have a staunch argument against you. They need to diversify a little bit. And maybe I've harped on the 3-pointer for diversification, but yeah, it's a good, it's the same observation I have. You just said it in different words, and yours, as usual,
all right, real quick,
is much more eloquent than mine.
Real quick, Rich says Mike Woods' coaching made Trey so much more consistent. He was good as a sophomore, but nowhere near the way he shows up every game now. But sure. I will also say this. Trey still doesn't shoot from 15 or 20 feet, which if he did would open this offense up immensely. And to me, that's the thing that probably should have been taken care of. And also this, Mike was more of a Trace Jackson style player than a point guard. So maybe he relates there. I mean, I don't think you had Woody bringing the ball up the court, did you, Steve?
No. But he wasn't an inside player.
I know he wasn't an inside player.
We had Tolbert and Turner. And
you know what I'm saying. It's much closer
we had
to being.
Myself and Kitchell, and we had big guys that Woody didn't need to come in and do what Trace does in the paint.
But Trace shouldn't have to do what he does.
No. But I agree with you. The defenses have gotten smart now and are just packing their defenses in on Trace, and that's hurting us in offensive production, I think. Trace needs to step out and start shooting the 10 to 15-footer. That opens up the defense significantly, and 3-point shooting will definitely spread the defense more. Those are just two things that I think are fixable that we could do, but I don't think Indiana's going to do them right now. I think they're going to stay with what they're doing and ride that ship, and I don't think that ship's strong enough to weather a big run into the tournament. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I think this.
I hope I'm wrong. I think they're going to get bit like they got bit last night.
It's kind of like
what they're doing.
It's kind of like last year. The thing that pushed them into the tournament and got them the big wins right at the end of the year was they got bench production from Jordan Geronimo.
Right.
Bates played a little bit. I mean, so the thing to me is this. I think this team's fully capable of making a deep run. But for that to happen, it's going to have to be Jordan Geronimo, maybe Race Thompson, maybe Xavier comes back and contributes more to what we think. Because then all of a sudden you're 8-9 deep. You're not having to be obsessed with just getting the ball to Trace, and everybody can take the heat off of each other a little bit. So I don't think the season is lost. I mean, it was a game that I did not expect Indiana to win.
I didn't expect us to lose this game. I expected us to win this game.
I didn't, just because they looked tired to me against Illinois. And remember this, Illinois' best player didn't even play Saturday, and Indiana was down by 9 with like 8 minutes left. So it's not like Indiana had been playing well. Plus, the other thing is this, not just the emotion, but Michigan State 16-10. They had to win that game last night. If they want to get to the NCAA tournament, they needed to add one or two more quality wins.
But if you want to make a deep run in the tournament, you got to overcome that emotion.
Yeah,
you got to be stronger than that emotion is for Michigan State.
But this is the thing, though. In the tournament,
you said is correct, though.
But this is the thing. In the tournament, everybody's emotion's the same. You're trying to do the same thing. Right now, Indiana's tired. They don't have to win the game. Michigan State had to win the game. All right, remember, the Grueling Truth is powered by...
One thing that I wanted to say, Mike, before you start wrapping. Oh, I'm sorry. You're doing a commercial. Go ahead. I apologize.
The Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or a sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out now at betting.net. Go ahead, Steve.
The one player we haven't talking about, and I'm not knocking it all, but we're going to need more out of Race Thompson in the tournament. Now, I don't think he's fully recovered from his knee injury is what I think, because he's too good of a kid, too hard of a worker to give us the minimal production that he's given us, that he was giving us a lot more prior to his knee injury.
Well, the one thing, though, it seems like that he's playing a couple more minutes more each game, and
they're working him back, but they're going to need to get him back because that takes some weight off of Trace on the rebounding end, battling, because he's, Race is very good in there. So I am not beating up on Race Thompson. Please, people that are still listening, don't take it that way. We just need to get him back, and we need to get Johnson back, because you're right. We do need a true point guard up there handling the rock for us, and that's going to free up Galloway and free up Miller and Schifino to be a little more perimeter focused, just a little more, not a lot, because we still want to rely on Trace and it still looks.
Well, I still think you get more threes, but the point guard just runs the offense better.
Okay, TJ says we can't just rely on Woodson to develop Trace's jumper. It's on Trace. Doesn't have that one. Yeah, well, it's going to be hard to teach this old dog new tricks this late in the season. So
yeah, it's a little late now.
He either knows how to shoot the jumper and is just not doing it, or it's not something we're going to get our hands on with him.
Because seriously, if he could be 15 feet from the basket and just make a shot or two, it would change the whole world.
I don't know about you, Mike, but I can't even remember the time he's taken a 15-foot jump shot.
I'm sure he has, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure I agree with you. I'm sure he has, but man, I do not remember the last time he stood around the free throw line, other than a free throw, and shot a jump shot. I don't remember one.
Yeah, and he played poorly last night, but doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, he turned the ball over 6 times. It's water under the bridge. The Purdue Boilermakers are coming up on Saturday evening.
On Friday.
And on Friday, what time, Steve? Going to do Friday evening?
Whatever's good for you.
Let's do Friday at 2:00 again, same time, same bad place. We will preview Purdue, Indiana. We will also talk.
I got to get out of bed by 10:30. Oh, what time? Yeah, let's do, because I have a doctor's appointment at 2:00 my time.
Okay. So we will talk about Indiana, Purdue, and we will also, reminisce about 1978 to 1981 and Steve's battles at Mackey Arena, which hopefully this game will turn out better than those battles did. I also want to bring up this.
You know what my battles were? Avoiding pennies being thrown at me while on the free throw line.
You should have collected that stuff.
I tried, but they would roll away. We tried to get them, but they would roll away.
Hey, you needed a fat kid like a student trainer just go dive on him. It'll stop them all. It'll be stuck to his belly.
Literally, there were pennies that would come flying out of the stands. Unfortunately, I don't remember anybody getting hit. All
right, guys, remember, social casinos. Sign up with stake.us and use our exclusive promo code TGTSocial to secure your unique 5% rakeback bonus. Also, make sure you like, subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the notifications bell button so you know when we come on live. Follow us at Grueling Truth on Twitter, and make sure you check out BetMGM, which is our top recommended site for betting on the Indiana-Purdue game this weekend. But for now, guys, for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the